Hello everyone. Hello. Hope you all are doing well. Good evening. And I'm going to introduce myself. For those of you who don't know who I am Omolara Thomas Uwemedimo. I am also broadcasting live from Facebook. Hi, Mildred. Facebook and from Instagram because this is how important this is today. Hi, FOV Agona. How are you? So today, just to get you guys ready and in the frame of mind, we're going to be talking about pivoting. And the reason why we're talking about pivoting is because 2021 is on. It's happening. It's coming. I know people are excited. They're like, please just get me out of this year. And I have to say that too. But I think one of the really exciting things for us to think about is how do we make 2021 different than how 2020 was for us. Now, I know many of us had plans and we had dreams, and actually some of us who did have plans and dreams actually had them manifest, while some of us didn't, and some of us kind of weren't able to make it happen. And there's some reasons for this, of course. Some reasons are, beyond our control, but a lot of the reasons that people were able to push forward and move ahead actually are under your control. And we're going to talk about pivoting into your purpose. So first of all, let me introduce who I am. I am Omolara Thomas Uwemedimo. I'm a pediatrician, and I'm also the CEO and founder of Melanin Medicine and Motherhood. And my goal is really working with Black women in medicine, health professionals all throughout, physicians, nurses, other allied health professionals, to help them stop normalizing struggle and sacrifice. For those of us who are in the helping professions, a lot of times it's easy to give to your own detriment. And so what we do is really focus on supporting Black women health professionals to walk into their purpose, rediscover themselves, and start living the life that they deserve and they want, not the life that everyone else, needs, and start remembering who they are. So as part of that, we actually do a workshop every 3 months called Pivot into Your Purpose. And the reason why we repeat it quarterly is because it's so powerful. And so one thing that I usually do before we actually do the workshop, which starts next week, December 14th on Monday. So first and foremost, make sure that if you're on Instagram, you check my bio, you can register right there. If you are on Facebook, I will put it in the comments, but it is bit.ly/MMM Pivot 2020. So we are starting that on December 14th, and it'll be a 5-day workshop. But what I want to do is, usually a lot of people get in there, what we found, and they're kind of like overwhelmed with how much good information there is, and also overwhelmed with kind of, oh my gosh, like I don't even know how to move, and kind of get stuck. And so one thing that we've started doing for the last few times that we held the workshop has been a prep for your pivot. Basically, and I think that oftentimes people really like the Prep for Your Pivot. It's a 7-day series that we do, which we're going to start today and share with you all. But it's extremely important because it allows for us to get into the mindset, especially for those of you who are going to register for the workshop, to now start thinking, okay, what is it that I need to do to make 2021 different? I was able to literally launch 2 businesses in 2020, not without a lot of stress and determination, but able to push that. And we always kind of wonder, why do some people are able to push through? And it's a lot around planning and having a mindset that is very purpose driven. So let's talk about it a little bit. So first and foremost, if you're watching, give me a hey in the chat. Let me know who you are. Let me know what you're trying to change for 2021. Also, let me know if there's something new that you're trying to do. Let me know if there's something big that you're hoping that didn't happen now that you want to move into it. Let me also know if you know what your purpose is already, or if that still is kind of a blank slate for you. I want you to answer that question. I want this to be interactive, so let me know that. So in the interim, one of the things that I want to let you guys know is why would I even focus on purpose, and why are we even going to talk about how we prep for our pivot if we want to move from where we're at, especially if we're unfulfilled, if we're feeling stuck, if we're feeling trapped, we're feeling frustrated, we're feeling like burnt out. Usually those are reasons why people know that it's time to pivot. But then the question is, how can I do it? What can I do? What do I need to do before I actually make any moves or think about it? And that's what this week's series is. And then next week will be the actual workshop, which will be held. You have to register because that's going to be private. That's not going to be live for everyone. But some of the few things that I want to mention is that we'll be doing some giveaways. We will also be doing lots and lots of fun things inside of that workshop. So if you either are a Black woman in medicine, hi Natural Keisha, if you're a Black woman in medicine, or if you're not, really important to share because this is truly a transformative workshop. So let's talk about prepping for your pivot. And the first thing that we're going to do, just so you know, is that literally for the 7 days, we're actually going to spell out purpose. Each thing is going to start with that first letter. So we're starting today with P, tomorrow will be U, the next day will be R, and so on. And so with P, today we're going to focus on one of the first steps that we have to think about when we're trying to prep is pinpointing our passion. Sounds really easy, but a lot of times when I ask people, and I ask the women who I get to work with, what is it that you love to do? Simple question. I usually get blank stares. I usually get like, I don't know what that is anymore. I love helping other people. And it's kind of like, I get that. Okay. But what is it that you like love? Like what brings you joy and happiness? And a lot of times that's really difficult for women, especially Black women who a lot of times are conditioned to just think about everyone else before themselves, right? And so one of the things that I usually talk about is kind of understanding what passion is. And passion often is seen as, ridiculous when we think about a lot of us and like when we talk about what we're passionate about. Oftentimes we kind of keep that to ourselves. We don't share because it seems like it's something that's frivolous, or it seems like it's not what we need to be focusing our mind on. We got kids, we got bills, we got other things that we need to be doing. So who cares about my passion? And passion, however, is the intersection between what we love to do and what we're also good at or feel like we're talented in, because then we love to do it even more, honestly. So I think one of the things that we do a lot of times is we often mistake, that what we're good at and think that that is passion, that just, whatever we're talented at. And what's missing is the fact that there also has to be what is it that we love, right? And so I would say that most often it's drowned out because we're saying, oh, this is what we have to do. And this is what we have to focus on what we get paid to do. And so we don't think about that. So I want you to pop in the chat if you're watching this now, or if you're going to watch this on the replay. I want you to pop in the chat. What is it that you absolutely adore to do? And so one of the things that I usually will talk about in terms of if you're having difficulty identifying what my passion is, there are two things that you can think about, two questions that I want you to think about. So the first question that I want you to think about right now is saying to yourself, where do I find flow in my life? So some of you may know what flow is. Some of you may not know what flow is. So flow, that terminology really comes from positive psychology and actually it was Roger Hall, who is an author and psychologist, who introduced us to this. But positive psychology research actually found that there were two things that were related with joy and happiness for people. And those two things were when someone feels one with the work that they're doing, and someone loses a sense of time in the thing that they do. And that usually is an indicator that you're closing in on your passion. And so once again, if we aren't able to kind of identify what our passion is just inherently, we can start to think about those two things. So for example, I want you to think about what are some of the things that you feel like when you're doing it, you're kind of at one with it. It doesn't even feel sometimes like work. It feels like you're just, could spend hours and hours doing it. When has that happened for you? That is some of those are some of the clues that you can think about in terms of how do I pinpoint my passion? How do I figure out like, what is it that I really love to do? So for me, just to give an example, I would drop everything, everything, whenever I had a colleague who would come up to me and who would say, I'm struggling with this, or another Black woman physician who would come and I'm struggling with this personal or professional issue. And I would kind of like be like, okay, I have all this stuff to do, but I can't help it. And we'd sit there, we'd talk. I'd be like, oh my God, it's been an hour and we're still talking about this. And they would say, oh my gosh, this has been really great. And to me, it didn't even feel like I had done anything, supernatural. It was just kind of something that came to me. And so the thing that I always think about, hi, Dr. Ty Ahmed. So the thing that I always think about is when we only condition ourselves to really prioritize the things that we're quote unquote good at, and that could be due to training, and we forget what we love, we miss out on passion, and we miss out on fulfillment, and we miss out on joy that we could be having. We also miss out on potential opportunities to think about that passion and connect it to something that actually we can monetize and get paid for, right? That's kind of like the epitome, right? To be able to do what you love and sustain your family at the same time. And so I'm really fortunate to be able to have kind of made that connection. And that has to happen often with the reflection of what is it that I actually love to do. So I want you to pop in the chat if you can, if you're watching, and you don't have to, but it's always great to be interactive. And if you have questions, I want you to pop into the chat. What is it that I find myself doing, spending hours on end, and it doesn't feel like I'm spending hours on end, that I could lose time doing? And what is it that doesn't feel like work? It comes really natural, but everyone's like amazed at the fact that I'm doing that. Other thing that I would like to talk about in pinpointing your passion is that one of the first things that you can do to start getting ready, it is to start to think about, how is my passion going to serve me? What are the ways that I can move things forward? How can it change my life if I'm practicing my passion more and more often? Many people might look at it as something that happens once in a while. How can I make it more regular? And how can I actually do that in a way that allows for me to be refilled, to be rejuvenated, to be restored? And potentially for some people, it might stay as something adjacent to their life, but that they do regularly. And for some people, it may become the central thing that they actually end up using as their work. And I think that one of the things that we'll be doing in the Pivot into Your Purpose workshop is trying to see how we can bring passion closer and closer to our purpose, which is where it's actually going to have to intersect with something that I actually am able to get paid to do, something that I'm actually able to that I know I'm good at, but also something that I think the world needs. And we'll be talking more about that in the workshop. So if you are feeling down, sad, unclear, unfulfilled, it's likely that your purpose is missing. It's likely that, and if your purpose is missing, many times the missing link inside purpose is, what do I love to do? What is it that brings me joy? And so I want you to think strategically right now about, should I go into 2021 like that? Should I actually change my outlook? What are the ways that I can change my outlook? What are the ways I can find those things that I enjoy and start to move those forward and move those central rather than kind of just being in the background? So really just summary for you guys is that purpose, when pivoting into your purpose, the first thing that you should think about is pinpointing your passion. Passion is not just what you're good at, but it's what you love and what you're good at, where those two intersect. really also the things that you can do to interrogate whether or not you're hitting or getting close to your passion, if it just doesn't come naturally. When I ask you what brings you joy, is that you can look at the things that you are come naturally to you, that you just feel like you can lose yourself in that, or also feel like you lose the sense of time and could do it forever on hours and hours on end. The other last thing that I would say about pinpointing your passion is to not limit yourself in saying that this is something that is frivolous and something I have to put to the side, but starting to open your mind to how could I actually pursue my passion and be in my passion much more regularly and often. Okay? So I hope this was helpful for some of you. I hope it gets you to start thinking about, wow, what is my passion? We're going to go through these next 6 days after this, all the way right before we start the workshop on December 14th. And we're going to talk about a few more steps and things that you can do to help you get closer to who you are meant to be and actually pivot into your purpose in 2021. If you're not thinking ahead for 2021, you're going to be late and you're actually going to, have to do some catch up in terms of making sure that you're experiencing what you want and what you want to accomplish for the rest of the year. I found that being forward thinking and future oriented has been the most important thing that helped me in 2020. So let me know. Definitely feel free to catch me in the messages. If you're on Instagram, just check out my bio and you can register for the Pivot into Your Purpose workshop. If you are in Facebook and seeing this, then you can go to bit.ly /MMM Pivot 2020. And there you can actually be able to go onto our website to actually register, which I think that you will, if you haven't registered and you haven't gone through our workshop, it is absolutely life-changing and transformative. And that is not just words from my mouth, but words from the mouth of many of the Black women who have gone through it. So if you don't know about it, or if you know a Black woman in medicine who could benefit from it, then feel free to share as well. And I popped that in the comments. So have a good rest of the evening. And I hope I'll see you tomorrow with step number 2 in terms of prepping for your pivot. Take care. Bye.